Let's go ahead and run through question number 4. As we know, question number 4 is very similar to question number 3. We're going to read a short passage of about 100 words, and we get 45 seconds to do so. We're going to listen to a lecture about that paragraph. Then we're going to get a question. Then we're going to get 30 seconds to prepare and 60 seconds to speak. So I'm going to take you all the way through the question so we know exactly how to prepare. First, we read for 45 seconds. Just as in question number 3, the title gives away the most important piece of information. In this question, the title gives you the topic, and the topic is illusion of transparency. Now, the truth is that that title is a key word, maybe a word that you don't know or you're unfamiliar with, and the paragraph gives you a definition of that. If you have the ability, you want to get the definition and write that down. If you can't, it's okay. You can skip it. But the definition of the illusion of transparency is actually when people feel they display their internal feelings more than they really do. Now, when we hear the lecture, we know we're going to get a story that illustrates that definition. So let's go ahead and hear the lecture. Take notes as we go.
Now, listen to a lecture in a psychology class.
Let me begin our discussion on this topic by telling you what happened to a friend of mine about a week ago. My friend Bill is a computer programmer. He's actually a fantastic programmer. But like most programmers, he spends the majority of his time behind a computer screen and not in front of other people. In other words, he's downright scared of big groups of people. So, you can imagine how he felt when his boss asked him to deliver a speech to the company about its new software applications. He was terrified. He prepared for his speech as much as he could and delivered it in front of a group of about 100 people. By the way, I was there in the audience when he was giving his speech, as support. Well, I was blown away. You would have never guessed from the speech he delivered that he was afraid of big groups. He actually seemed comfortable and confident. But when I talked to him after the speech, he felt that people saw him as the exact opposite. He thought everyone could tell he was incredibly nervous and scared. He told me that he felt the beads of sweat dripping from his face and thought that everyone could see them and notice how nervous he was. He told me that his hands were shaking and that he tried to speak in a confident way, but that he was sure people would be able to tell that he wasn't confident at all. When I told him what I thought of his speech, he didn't believe me. I guess his internal feelings were not as clear to his audience as he thought.
Explain the concept of illusion of transparency using the example discussed in the lecture.
We heard the lecture, and we know that there are many more words in the lecture than I wrote down. But you just want to write down the key words that tell you the major story, and that story is an illustration of the definition. So now I hope we understand that a little better. We get 30 seconds to prepare for this response. You want to use that time intelligently. So the first thing you want to do is circle the topic. Everyone should get the topic. It's the title, so you have to make sure you write that down in your notes. Not everyone will get the definition, but if you do, circle that. Next thing you want to do is circle the important pieces of information that you can say in 60 seconds. Remember, you want to be able to go from beginning to end in 60 seconds, so you might have to eliminate some key words so you can say everything. Circle this, 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 this. Okay, so maybe we avoided one little detail to make sure that we have enough time to say all of the important information. Now, we want to make sure we draw our arrows. Arrows are important because, again, they show you the order, and if your notes aren't so clear, so organized, They tell you where to go. Now, use your marker and our phrases and deliver the speech. So here's an example. The article talks about the illusion of transparency, which the passage describes as the idea that people feel that they display their feelings more than they really do. In the lecture, the professor talks about a friend that illustrates this definition. The professor states that his friend Bill is a computer programmer and he's scared of big groups of people. So when his boss told him that he had to deliver a speech to 100 people, he was scared and nervous. The professor was in the audience and was blown away. He thought Bill was very confident. However, when he spoke to Bill, Bill said that he felt everyone saw that he was nervous. So, the story illustrates that Bill felt that he displayed his feelings more clearly than he really did, and it wasn't as clear. And that's how we give our answer to this lecture. Now again, we avoided some key words. You want to do the same. Practice to make sure you know how much you can say. So again, to improve your score, you want to make sure that you understand the definition, because you'll get a story that describes it. And you want to use your circles and arrows to make you go through your notes well. And that concludes question 4.